Hello, this is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel here in beautiful Allaire State Park Campground. I met up with Jeff and Patti, and they have a really cool self-converted camper van that they're going to give us a tour of today. So join us.
Thank you, Patrick. We're super excited to be here. We're Jeff and Patti, two recently retired CEOs who are a civil engineer by background, and I'm a computer scientist by training. Jeff retired March 1st, and we have been avid runners our entire lives. And as we got older, we got pretty injured, so we started riding stand-up elliptical bikes. And we set an intention to ride our elliptical bikes in all 50 states to do a century ride, a 100-mile ride in all 50 states. So come along, check out the van that we built to do that.
So the van is a 2018 Ford Transit high roof 148 wheelbase. The reason we got that, we didn't get the extended length van because we wanted to be able to drive around the cities and park in parking lots and travel all the roads through the national parks. So Pegasus is her name, and she is 19 feet long, and it's under the 20 foot that is often a problem in national parks.
That's right. Our van came with a name and we decided to keep it. She was pre-built. She had a few things already built when we got her. She had dual swivel seats already built in, an insulated subfloor, and a max air fan. So come on inside and have a look. So welcome to our van, Pegasus. Up here in the cockpit, we didn't really make too many changes. We did add a three-way camera that records backwards, forwards, and inside the van in lieu of a rear view mirror. We also added this incredibly helpful extended shelf. It's added so much storage to our van. We store our insulated window covers up there. We store our coat du jour up there, sometimes some camera parts up there. We also have a blackout curtain that we can drop if we want some privacy in this back section, or if we want to contain heat or cold in the back section. Up in the front, we also have the swivel seats. This is our main seating area. We do have two fold-out tables that we use to eat or work on our laptops. Or watch your videos on YouTube, Patrick.
Indeed. All right, we've got a pretty unique setup here. We used 80-20 aluminum extrusion for the guts of the van. And we actually built 4 separate components out of 80-20 in our garage at home long before we even bought the van. The 4 components are the galley here, bed number 1, bed number 2 where Patti's sitting behind me, and also our wet bath, which you'll see a little bit later. And the 80-20 was a great use, so we could build these components in our garage, but the 80-20 actually comes in 3 sizes, 1.5 inch, 1 inch, and 3/4 inch. And we selected the size depending on the need at the time. For instance, the 1.5 inch is the heavy duty stuff. We use that to span the full length of the van, like in the back there under Patti's bed.
Hold on, are you saying I'm fat?
No, of course not, Patti, but you know. I'm an engineer. There has to be factors of safety in everything we do. So yeah, so we use the 1.5 inch for that, but then we went down to the 3/4 inch for like the galley here, because it's no long spans and it's not holding a lot of weight. And the 3/4 inch versus the 1.5 inch is 1/3 of the cost and 1/3 of the weight. So by right sizing our 80-20, we actually saved almost $1,000 in our build and shaved off about 200 pounds. Now, in addition, you see we've got a kind of a white interior here, and we like the white interior. And what we used was this cellular PVC, which we got at Home Depot instead of plywood for most of our surfaces. And we find that the white PVC, it's relatively lightweight. It's easy to maintain, and you don't have to paint it. And after 18 months of van life, it's held up very well. Over here in the galley, and this is kind of a unique galley system we've got here. On the top, we've got a full work surface. You can do whatever you want up here. But when it's time to cook, you can just pop open this, and you've got a 2-burner gas stove here. Underneath the gas stove, oh, and also we've got on the galley top, we actually epoxy coated the PVC, the cellular PVC, so that helps protect the surface while we're preparing food. Underneath the stove, we've got a Vitrifrigo C115 refrigerator. It's actually made in Italy. And this is, C115 is 115 liters, just over 4 cubic feet. And it's probably the biggest fridge you can find for under the counter. And it's a dual power system, runs on 12 volt while you're boondocking. And also when you hook up to shore power, it automatically converts to 110. Next to the refrigerator, we've got a secret compartment, not really secret, but it's a great compartment for, we have an Omnia stovetop oven and some cleaning parts in there. And then next to that, we have a utensil drawer, and it's nice and big, but there's only the two of us. We don't have a whole lot of utensils. And at the end of the galley here, we have our deep sink. So it's nice and deep, so Patti can use it if in an emergency, if she wants to wash her hair in there. But we also have a dual faucet here. And this is hot and cold water faucet on this side of the handle. But on this side of the handle, and you can see the two different, so this one you can actually go and spray outside if you want to do an outdoor shower, clean off. But this one is filtered water. It runs through a filter underneath our van, underneath our sink. All in one compact unit. And over here we have our control panel. And it's a pretty simple control panel. On top we have our Truma water heater and space heater controls. Here we have our gang switches that have a couple of functions. One, it turns our water pump on and off for when we're traveling. And also it has a ball valve control for draining our 15-gallon shower gray tank in a responsible manner. It also provides a couple of USB ports here that are handy when you're cooking. Below that is a water level gauge. It tells us how much drinking water we have left. And on the bottom, it's a simple indoor-outdoor thermometer.
We decided to go with a 2-bed system. And the reasons behind that are several. First of all, Jeff's 6 feet tall, so he can't sleep east to west. And since we decided to go with the non-extended 148 wheelbase Ford Transit, if we put in one bed and slept north to south, it would consume most of the 72 square feet in this van. So, I'm 5'4", I have no problem sleeping east to west back here in the short bed, and Jeff sleeps in this pull-down Murphy-style bed. And we think this is the secret sauce of our design. His mattress is 30 inches by 75 inches long. My mattress is 30 inches by 72 inches long. And a couple of good reasons for having the dual bed system. One, Jeff likes to crash early and get up early. I am more of a night owl. I like to stay up late and I like to sleep in the morning. This gives us a little bit of separation from one another. Secondly, we're getting to be of that age where trip to the bathroom in the middle of the night might be a more and more common thing. So this way we don't have to crawl over each other, which enhances our van life sleep infinitely. And then finally, if there's ever a chance where one of us isn't here, somebody has to be away for a meeting or whatnot, we can invite a sibling or a friend along on the road to try out van life, and we don't have that awkward one bed scenario. So it's really cool. Bring your buddy along.
Let me show you how it folds down. So when it's up, of course we have a ton of counter space here. We can do all kinds of things, or you can sit on it. Actually, this place we sometimes cook on it at night. So plenty of counter space during the day, but then at night, it's a simple matter of folding it down. And there's our bed. And the pillow kind of sits in a little recess here in the wall. And also this bed, we've got 2 shelves up here for our cell phone and earplugs or glasses, books, whatever. And down below here, there's kind of a secret hidden shelf, and that's where we keep our laptops. And that shelf also has USB and 110 outlets on it so that we can recharge our laptop while it's in storage. We also have a couple USB outlets up under here for our phone. And you can see we each have a reading light, which you just push the lens and it pops it on and off. And then it pops right back up when I'm ready to get up in the morning and go to town. Underneath, we have a whiteboard here to kind of track our adventures across the United States. And so on the back side here, we have our national park logos. And as we knock off a national park, we scratch it off. Of the 63 national parks, we've hit 42 already. In the center, we have magnets we've picked up from national parks along the way. Great place to display those. And you'll see Patti may or may not have a national park magnet problem. You'll see that a little bit later. And then over here, we have our completed states for the 100-mile century rides on our stand-up Elliptico bikes. And I've got 13 states covered. Patti has 12. Ironically, Patrick, Patti's missing New Jersey. So we absolutely have to come back and knock out New Jersey again.
Now, speaking of storage, up above you can see we have these very large, very deep food pantries. We use these to store food and pots and pans and things of that nature. You can see they have a couple of cutouts so that there's room to stand up our pots and pans and have a couple of cookbooks. We should also mention we have this other cabinet up here that also has some safety devices in it. Another fire extinguisher, more bear spray, night light, things of that nature. We also have more storage down below the sink. This area is another little pantry, which we use to store cleaning supplies. We use it to store more food. And we haven't really introduced you to the other member of our traveling cast, but her name is Mrs. McCormick. We travel with our cat, who's 20 years old, so her food is under here as well. Behind me, you can see this cabinet is where her cat litter lives. So when we're on the road and she's with us, this door stays open all the time and her litter box is in here. We also have a little bit of storage space down below here in a secret step. Now, this small storage drawer over here is our electronics drawer. And if you look inside, you'll see there's actually two drawers in one. Each one is lined with USB ports. We've got USB ports in this van for days. But if you look inside here, we have so many things that constantly need charging. GoPro batteries of 2 different ears of GoPros. We have our bike lights, our bike GPS, our bike watches, our camera batteries, our drone batteries. They're always something that needs to be charging, so this drawer has been a lifesaver. And then down below, the very bottom drawer is a utilities drawer, and that contains things like safety items, tools. It's pretty generic and just gridded off so that you can find things quickly. These two drawers are our clothing drawers, and they're designed to be side by side so that we can both be getting into our drawers at the same time. You can see we use a hybrid method. I use a hybrid method of packing cubes and the roll method. Jeff has gone exclusively to the roll method and the grid system.
All right. I think next up we're going to talk about our wet bath.
So come on back.
So again, it's a compromise when you pick not the longest Ford Transit. How do you fit everything in? Well, one way we found the compromise was working around the wheel wells better. And what we have back here is a 24 by 32 inch shower pan with a cassette toilet inside of it. The cassette toilet, we go about 7 days before we have to empty it. When we're ready to take a shower, we take the cassette toilet out, put it here on the step, and we have the shower pan. We have the shower curtain we bring in, and we have these little magnetic hooks that we hook up onto the screws on the ceiling, put our shower curtain in, and then down here we have the controls for the shower. And again, it's hot water shower. And take our shower. We also, because the Max Air fan is right in the shower area, it pulls up any moisture that accumulates in the shower. The shower is also a great place. We have a rod there for letting clothes dry that we've been out in the rain in.
Great place to hang raincoats.
The shower has a 15-gallon gray water tank under it. As I mentioned before, there's a ball valve so that we can responsibly empty the gray water tank if we need to. Now let's talk a little bit about utilities in the van. We've got a couple things. Let's start off with the lights since we're here looking at the ceiling. We decided after a lot of research to not have a master light switch. So all the lights are touch light. You just touch the light and it comes on, goes off. So as you come in the van, you just touch the light you want to turn on. And the benefit here is it saves on electricity, and it also lights up the areas you specifically want to light up. These touch lights also have built-in dimmers, so you can dim them if you want to. So that's our 12-volt lighting system. And then down here, our electric system, instead of a full-blown electric cabinet like you see in a lot of vans, we have what they call a solar generator. And there's a number of these on the market. This one's an energy solar generator. It's 1,100 watts, and it runs our electric system. And this can be powered in 3 ways. One, through 200 watts of solar on the roof. Secondly, it's tied into the vehicle system, and the vehicle came with a heavy-duty alternator and dual vehicle batteries. And 3, when we connect into shore power, it automatically transfers and recharges from shore power. The 12-volt system that runs the lights, the refrigerator, the fans, is all tied in right here. And right behind the bed here is the 12-volt fuse box, so it's easy access from the driver's side sliding door. And that runs our 12-volt system. Our water system, we described our 25 gallons of fresh water with a filter for drinking water, 15 gallons of gray water for the shower, 6 gallons for the sink. Where do we get the heat from for the water and also the stove? We have a gas system, and we have a gas bottle here and a gas locker. And the gas system, let me pop this open for you. And it's a sealed locker, and you can look down in there. On the bottom of it, there's a 3-inch hole in the floor, which goes outside. Inside this box is an 11-pound gas tank, but you can also fit a 20-pound tank in there, and the regulator. So if we ever have a leak in a gas system or the regulator starts discharging, it's heavier than air and will all flow out through that hole in the bottom. We also built this on the opposite side of the van than the exhaust system, so that if there is any venting gas, it doesn't come in contact with the hot exhaust part. It's a gas locker. Patti calls it the hurt locker, because if anything happens in there, we're all going to be hurting. But it also doubles as a seat, like that. And then also, as you saw earlier, we can turn it into a table. So it's one of those van life mantras of everything serves 2 purposes. Our heating system, we have a Truma Combi system, and it has a dual power supply. So when we are plugged into shore power, it runs off of shore power and heats both the air and the hot water. The hot water, it's a built-in system, it's a combined system. The air actually has 4 vents. One of the vents is right here in the front, and that feeds the cabin area. And then we have 2 vents right here in the center, providing hot air into the center of the van. And then the 4th vent is actually in the garage under Patti's bed, so that if we have any wet, the bikes are wet, we have any dampness back there, it'll help dry it out. The Truma system is a phenomenal system, very small footprint. It does 2 purposes, and it only has one small 3-inch outlet on the outside of the van, which is a combination air inlet and exhaust for the system. For internet, we have a cellular Wi-Fi repeater here. And this one's by RVIT Guy. Provides unlimited internet over the Sprint network.
So back here in my bed, as you can see, there's plenty of room to sit without hitting our heads. Jeff is also able to sit, and we wanted to hit the road fast after we got the van and started building. So you can see here we have these kind of what started out to be temporary bins. We got them from Target. They're just balsa wood, so super lightweight. Painted them white, hung them up there, and we thought that we would build proper cabinets one day, but I kind of grew to like them. They have things like our bath towels and beach towels, or my toilet, my DOP kit, some things you want to find real easily like headlights, and we also never finished the back doors properly, which I was a little bit worried about since I sleep here with the heat and cold kind of issue, but it's well insulated with Havelock wool. And you can see one of the problems with that was you could see the Havelock wool because we never finished the door. So being that I kind of like these national park magnets, it seemed to serve 2 purposes. It kind of covered up the holes, and then it kind of turned into things. So maybe we'll never finish it, who knows. We did use these storage containers over the door clothing, shoe containers, and it ended up being great. We didn't really plan that initially. We saw it in somebody else's build and thought, wow, what a great idea. So we've got all the things that you never have a home for. Things like bike jackets, bike water bottles, and then some more important things like reading glasses, books, Kindles, AirPods, fire extinguisher, bear spray, things that we hope that we'll never have to use, but we have them if we need them. Underneath these shoe containers, storage containers, are two rear-facing windows, which if we ordered the van, we never would have gotten. They're just covered with really nice insulated covers. And we have a piece of blackout curtain underneath these curtains for again, for added level of insulation. We did cut one hole into the van back here and added a window next to our heads. So we leave this open almost all the time, and it draws the air right through and then up to our max air fan. So it's going over our bodies at all time, and it really works. It feels like air conditioning most of the time. Now on the very hottest days, we do have these two USB mobile fans that we can put wherever we want. As you know, we have USB ports anywhere, so we can put them for wherever it makes most sense to try to help us cool down. Underneath my bed, as Jeff mentioned, it's got an 80/20 frame, but we just got these slats from IKEA. Super inexpensive. You can look right down into the garage. There is lighting and whatnot in there, and that's where we keep our two Elliptico bikes. In fact, this whole design was basically built around transporting these two Elliptico bikes to all 49 states. So Jeff will take you around back and show you the garage.
All right. And before I do that, on our way out, I want to talk briefly about safety. We do have gas in here. So we've got a couple of things. We've got a CO detector down low here next to the gas bottle. We also have a gas detector in case there's any gas leak. It will go off. Then up on our ceiling, we have a smoke detector. And actually, you know, we're trying to keep the van stealthy, so we didn't want any appurtenances sticking out the sides. The only one we have is the Truma exhaust and air inlet back here. And it's a small 3-inch hole, hard to see. We also mentioned we have a driver's side slider. So again, we don't use this, it's not finished. It's just for, this is a behind the scenes look. So we've got our gas bottle, so if we need to replace that, it's easy access. Over here, we have the back of our electric system. We've got a vacuum here, but we've got the 12-volt panel right here, easy access to work on, and then the 110-volt high-capacity power strip right there. So when we do want to use shore power, I have a hole in the bottom of the van, and I just kind of pull down on the cord here, and it pops out the bottom. And then we just plug that in, and we're good to go. We're on 110 power. We also have two extension cords back in here, everything we need. And in the back, we do have a ladder on here. It serves two purposes. One, of course, to get up on the roof, maybe to wash the solar panels. Secondly, this is where we mount our kayak. So when we have our kayak along, we just kind of strap it onto the ladder. One of the benefits of this ladder from Prime Design is it's not attached to the door at all. We've seen a lot of vans where you attach to the door and those become rust spots. This one actually clamps to the door. At the bottom, there are two clamps here, and at the top are the same. And then you kind of just ratchet them together until that's a snug fit on the door. And this ladder has a 300-pound capacity. So inside, as we mentioned, our Elliptico bikes, so the whole design of the van started with this premise that we have to fit these two bikes into the garage. So the garage is designed to fit them in. We just have to take the front wheel off and slides right in. We also have back here a shelf with camping gear. So if we want to camp, for some reason we don't want to spend the night in the van, I can't imagine why, but we have camping gear. But also if we have friends along that would need additional people to sleep, we have two sleeping bags, a tent, and camping supplies right here.
And as you can see, the storage continues down below the bed, which is fantastic. We can store things like fold-up chairs, bike equipment, bike tubes, suntan lotion, more backup gas containers, hiking shoes, water shoes. Because you know what, Patrick? You can never have enough place for shoes.
Well, that may be true, but we also have in here an inflatable stand-up paddleboard. So often we get a nice place with water. We have the stand-up paddleboard and the kayak. We each take one out. We have a bunch of paddles in here. We have we have the pump for the paddleboard. We've got some emergency supplies. We've got our water connection here to fill our water tank. We've got chains for our tires. We've got jumper cables. All that's packed into our garage.
And finally, we'd like to summarize what we think the 5 best things are about our van build. Why don't you come on in? We'd like to tell you what we think the 5 best things are about our van build. 1 has got to be the low cost. We've got all these subsystems in here for $11,000, and we think that's pretty great, thanks to Jeff's dynamite engineering skills. Number 2, we kind of like how the design functionality just works for our lifestyle. Number 3, the pull-down bed option, the dual bed option. We think that's the secret sauce. We think that's the game changer right there. And my favorite part are the 7 different seating areas. You've seen most of them today. You want to run through them? Here's number 1. While somebody's over here cooking, we can be kind of hanging out, talking, working on our computers. Here's number 2, the old bed seat. Here's number 3, to sit here, hang out. Somebody can actually be sitting there talking. We've talked to you about this one. Number 4, the seat, you can kind of watch the water boil while we're cooking. And number 5, the hurt locker. It's got to have 2 purposes. Okay, maybe it has 3 purposes actually. So, number 6, space number 7, the 2 dual swivel seats. And oh, I forgot to show you the 7th spot. This is someplace that I sit every single day. I sit here, put my shoes on. It's the perfect space.
Thank you for taking the time today to give us a tour of your beautiful creation. Some of our viewers might wonder why you picked the Ford Transit chassis over the Mercedes-Benz or the Ram ProMaster. Can you explain to us what your thoughts were on that?
I can probably explain that because I drove a Mercedes sedan, so you can bet I had my heart set on a Sprinter. And we went and drove them, and I was less set. And so then we kind of thought, well, maybe we'd get the ProMaster. They look great, big, wide open, easier to build in. And we watched a YouTube video where somebody was in Central America on a cold, wet day, and the van slid backwards down the hill and couldn't get traction because there's weight in the back and it's a front-wheel drive vehicle. Jeff's always been a Ford guy, so turned into the Transit was our option, and that's what we also found. And I have to say, we've had 3 oil changes that cost us $56. Let's see any Sprinter owner say that.
You have an $11,000 budget that you were working with on this van chassis, and I'm sure you had a wish list of things that you wanted to do. And did you have a hard time fitting those into your budget?
No, we actually didn't. And one of the benefits of, we started building this van before we retired. So we could kind of stretch out our budget over, frankly, a year and a half as we built the components in our garage. And so everything came in as budgeted. My one regret is, we ordered some things 18 months before we put them in the van because of the way we built. So, I had a Trume heater sitting in the garage for 18 months, with its probably warranty expired before I even got it fired up. Of course, it works phenomenal, but we have a number of issues like that. Probably the one thing we kicked around, we haven't bought yet, would be an air conditioner on the roof. And so we're still debating whether we want to put that in or not. But everything else worked great.
Now, is there anything that, now that it's done, you're out here using it? By the way, are you full-time, part-time, weekend warriors? What is your commitment to the lifestyle at this moment?
We're probably 75% in the van.
Is there anything that you would change now that it's done and you built it? Is there certain components that you think might?
We did make some modifications along the way. One of them was the shower. We initially thought we'd do a full shower enclosure, but once we got in the van and we saw how open it was, Patti wanted us to change that. So we did away with the full enclosure, went with the shower curtains. That's worked great. Other things we've modified along the way, we put lights in up here. We didn't have these lights, and it's like, we sit here and read a book, I need a light. So we just quickly added 2 touch lights here. Other than that, I think it's been just as we hoped it would be.
It remains largely unchanged from his original design. A couple of little things here and there. We just got some new drawer clips. I'm not so sure just yet. The aesthetics on them, I'm still trying to get them to grow on me. But we've tried a couple of different things that didn't work, and so now we're trying this method.
Yeah, I would say I did like these faceless drawer frames, and trying to get the maximum capacity out of a drawer. But turns out if you have a faceless drawer frame, there's no frame in between the two drawers. Well, there's no way to really lock the drawers. So we had trouble with that for a while. We found these latches that hook up on the side of the drawer, and that seems to be working great.
So what's next for you guys? What's next in your adventures?
Well, we have a map with states where we need to go ride 100-milers. So right now, I guess we'll start heading south. And then next May, we have a few commitments at home, and then we hope to head to Alaska, knock out Alaska. So follow us on our social media channels at both Instagram and YouTube. We go by Elliptivango. You can also search for Jeff and Patti. It comes up that way as well, Patti with an I.
Thank you for taking the time today to give us a tour of your beautiful creation. This is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, comment, share, and subscribe. I'd love it. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Take care.